Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece?
Can you?
And can a robot do a reCAPTCHA? Didn't think so. Previously, we created a contact form in Flask. In case you missed it, check out this video. However, today I'll show you how to add a Google reCAPTCHA to it and protect your website from bots and spam. Also, feel free to let that finger slip, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for 100% gourmet email-related content. Hello and welcome to Mailtrap Videos, where we explore the world of emails. For starters, visit the official Google reCAPTCHA website, for which I'll leave a link in the comments. Next, enter your preferred label and select reCAPTCHA v2 I'm not a robot checkbox. This is the most commonly used service, as it's user-friendly and quite easy to integrate, which you'll be assured of soon. For the domain field, you can input your actual active domain if you have one, but as this is a demo, I'll use my local host address. Next, hit submit. Then we'll get an API key pair, which consists of a site and a secret key we'll need to add to our code later on. The site key is used in your HTML to render the reCAPTCHA widget, whereas the secret key is used server-side to verify the user's response. Now that you have your API key pair, let's get down to coding and add the necessary modules in our main application file, or in this case, app.py. Flask is the primary class used for creating our Flask application instance, or the core of the web application. Also, make sure to run pip install flask flask-wtf, which will install both Flask and Flask WTF modules. This simplifies working with web forms in Flask, so two birds with one command. Render_template is used for showing our front end page, the HTML template, in the user's client browser. Request is an object that contains all the data sent by the client in an HTTP request. Redirect is used for handling the raw data that comes from the client in an HTTP request. Flash is used for printing messages from the server, like contact form submitted successfully messages, for example. URL_for is also used for redirecting, like the redirect function. The second line of code imports the contact form class from a module named forms. The contact form class defines the structure and validation rules for our contact form using WT forms, a flexible form validation and rendering library for Python. Next, we need to import more necessary modules into the form definitions file, or forms.py file, which will contain the contact form class and the WT forms validation logic. The first line imports the Flask form and reCAPTCHA field from the Flask WT forms module, which we installed along with Flask at the beginning of the video. Flask form is a base class for creating forms in Flask applications. reCAPTCHA field is a field provided by the Flask WTF module, which integrates the Google reCAPTCHA into your Flask forms. The second line imports string field and text area field from WT forms, where string field represents text input and text area field represents multi-line text input fields in forms. The third line imports validator classes data required, email, and length from WT forms.validators. Data required ensures the field is not submitted empty. Email checks if the input is a valid email address. Length checks the minimum and maximum length of the input. Once you've imported all the modules, create the contact form class, which will put them all to work. The first variable, name, is an instance of string field that represents the input field for the user's name. In the same line of code, we also have the validator classes. After setting the stone with the first variable, add the other variables, which follow a similar logic. And they are email, message, and reCAPTCHA. Back in our main application file, we need to create a Flask instance and add reCAPTCHA secret key used for CSRF, or cross-site request forgery, attack handling. It's a random string of characters you generate yourself and store away securely. And of course, let's not forget the Google reCAPTCHA API key pair we generated at the beginning of the video. The public key is the site key, and the private key is the secret key. Keep in mind that I'm hard coding the credentials because this is a demo. However, I recommend you save them in a .env file, which is a common security practice in a production environment.
Remember, don't try this at home, kids. I am a professional.
Next, we need to define the app root, the decorator that binds the contact function to the /contact URL, specifying that the function should be called for both GET and POST requests to this URL. Beneath the app root, we'll create a contact function that will be executed when a request is made to the /contact URL. And beneath the contact function, we'll create an instance of the contact form class we defined previously in the forms.py file, which, if you remember, consists of those 4 class variables. Then, we'll add a simple server-side validation logic that sends a flash message thanking the user if they input their name, email, and message correctly when submitting the form. For the final touches of our main file, we'll add a return render template line, which will render our HTML contact form file and display it to the user in their client. Note that we need to create the HTML contact form file in the templates folder inside the main directory, like so. The file should contain the following logic you can simply paste from the Mailtrap blog along with the rest of the code. I'll leave the link for it in the comments below the video. As you can see, there's the line of code for our Flash confirmation messages, the form.reCAPTCHA class we just created. To seal the deal, let's call our Flask app with the following code. Finally, to see our Flask contact form reCAPTCHA in action, let's run the Python app.py command and visit your chosen domain. In my case, it's localhost. And there we have it. It's our reCAPTCHA in flesh and blood. Now, let me see if I can spot those bicycles.
One eternity later.
And I finally did it. Our reCAPTCHA works like a charm.
You actually did it. That is very impressive performance. Okay.
And to test if our server-side validation works, I'll fill out the necessary fields. And there we have it. A flash thank you for submitting the form message.
You're human, and I was human. I am human, still.
Quite simple, wasn't it? Now that you know how to add reCAPTCHA and improve your contact form's security measures, it's time to validate data and verify emails with some custom logic. How, you wonder? It's simple. Click here or here.